Thank you. Now, of course, we've been talking about the bad weather for a very long time, and you know that we've discussed the impact it would have on the roads. Pretty bad already for a lot of people. But of course, the result of all that bad weather, the cold weather, the extra rain, and the impact it has on the tarmac is that we have got more potholes than ever before. So councils are getting a handout. They're getting £140 million to fix those roads and potholes by the bad weather. But the government's being warned it might not be enough. Let's talk to Mr. Pothole, Mark Morrell here. Once again, it's not going to be enough, is it?
Nowhere near enough. I mean, if you look at Somerset and Devon that suffered the most problems with floods, prior to the flooding, the backlog of road maintenance was around £1 billion.
£1 billion?
So 140 million isn't probably going to make a huge difference.
Nowhere near enough. And nationally, I mean, you know, England and Wales, just for the carriageways, not including footpaths and structures, the backlog is around £11 billion. I mean, if you include the whole of the UK and structures and footpath general, the whole street infrastructure, it's all about £20 billion.
Presumably, this 140 million is meant to sort of push councils in the right direction, because they should be paying for the pothole repairs in the first place. I mean, it's what we pay our council tax for.
Well, no, they do get funded centrally by government. I mean, and to be honest, the 140 million is all well and good in terms of giving extra funding to the councils. But I think it's a reaction after the event. I think it's really a bit of propaganda for government, because the election coming up and being seen that the problem with investment in flood defences. Whilst it should be sort of praised that they're actually giving some extra funding, they aren't addressing the issue. I really would like to get in front of them.
All right, so what is the issue that needs to be looked at here? Because no one in their right mind, not in your lifetime, not in mine, is going to come up and say, here's 20 billion quid to sort out the roads.
Well, then we've got to expect, like we've seen, there was a coroner's court ruling this week where someone died as a result of a pothole. And we already know and have experience of people increasingly with tyres and damage. There's a big cost that's not being measured. I mean, what do we do? Expect it to end up with third world roads? We're probably getting that in some areas already. Are we expected to do that? I mean, in terms of what we actually pay in revenues of over £50 billion, and I don't accept there's no money.
Why can't we manage it like they do in Europe? We don't have any worse or better weather than, say, France or Germany, but they seem to have so much better roads. They don't seem to have this problem.
It's investment. I mean, really, 75% of it is about funding, 25% about as management, quality control, because we all see poor quality repairs, and the repairs don't last, so it's a waste of money.
They're cheap repairs, so it's patched.
Yeah, where they used to use hot rolled asphalt and do a good repair, and the seam interface between the repair and the existing road network, if it's sound, stops the water ingress and stops happening. It's not being stopped at the source. You need to stop it by investing. Keep repairing potholes is a waste of money.
All right. So in terms of this, then you say it's it's literally a sticking plaster job. This 140 million quid. But in terms of proper work, can you see any progress coming forward in saying, look, we're going to have a multi-billion-pound approach investment over the next 10 years, because that's what it would take. Could you see that happening?
That's what needs to happen, and we need to stand up and say we're not prepared to put it up with as a public.
Yeah, but is anyone else standing up with you?
There's a number of groups that are campaigning, and it's prevention's better than cure. The industry itself is tough. I've always been cautious with the industry because they've got an invested interest. But having done the research I have done, they're making good, sound regional arguments, and I'm sort of impartial. I'm neither with one party or another. I just want the roads fixed, and I realise how much we're paying in, and I think we need to actually invest in that rather than have this constant spiral, and it's getting worse, and why should we accept it?
Within all of this, some councils we know get it right. We know last time you were on the programme, we got people to tweet in, and someone said, if there's a problem with the roads, I think it was Milton Keynes Council, they go and sort it out and everything's fine. So why is it that some places get it right and some places just don't?
Well, Milton Keynes is an example. They've borrowed money, £50 million, to actually do some work on their inner roads. You go outside of the extremities of Milton Keynes and they have the same issues. People see, there are some councils that do some good work. I'm not I don't want to slate the council, because it's a very difficult situation, but they need that investment. And where we get situations where we're talking about deeper and deeper potholes being accepted, and we've seen the tragedy that occurs, and we've seen the damage incurred to people that pay a fortune for road fuel and fuel duty and everything else. So I don't accept it.
Well, look, it's that one of these issues, isn't it? It's like bin collection or whatever. It's one of these issues that affects us all. So keep your thoughts coming through on that one, if you would. At Sky Stephen, at News Lisa Knights, so get that right, news@sky.com for your thoughts throughout the day. We're going to be talking to the Transport Secretary, Patrick McLaughlin. He's going to be talking to Dermot about that extra cash from 10 o'clock this morning. Mr. Pothole, always good to see you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much indeed. We've got the sport coming up for you. Here's Charlie.
England's roads have taken a pounding over the winter, and the government said today it has set aside an extra £140 million to help repair them. The floods have made the problem worse, and campaigners say that unlike the potholes themselves, the extra money will barely make a dent. Sky's Joe Tidy reports.
Water and roads don't mix well, and with the wettest winter on record, our tarmac has taken a pounding. Urgent action is needed, so the government is putting £140 million into potholes. Even before this particularly harsh winter, Britain's roads were in need of repair. Councils fixed 2.2 million potholes in 2012, but even after that, 1 in 5 roads were believed to be in a poor condition. Repairing them all would cost £10.5 billion, but not fixing them comes at a cost too. Councils in England and Wales paid out £32 million in compensation to drivers whose vehicles were damaged by potholes. Now that the floodwaters have disappeared, this has become a familiar sight here in Runnymede in Surrey. The road here has just opened after 3 weeks of being underwater, and what's left is cracks along the side there, damage to existing roadworks, and it's clear that things are running smoothly at the moment, but it won't take long for these holes to widen. It'll cost tens of thousands of pounds to repair this stretch.
I'm pleased that they're recognising they need to spend a bit more, but it's nowhere near enough.
We let this campaigner put his point to the Transport Secretary.
Hello, Mr. McLaughlin. My name's Mark Morell, aka Mr. Pothole. We should treat the root cause of doing maintenance. I mean, you're talking about, just for the carriageways in England and Wales, something in the order of £11 billion. Well, obviously, the amount of investment you're talking about over the period of time doesn't go nowhere near to address those issues.
Well, we can always make more calls for more investment, and you know, I do that regularly when I negotiate with the Treasury on behalf of the Department of Transport to get extra money. But we can also see how the way in which different local authorities, some of them are much more effective at repairing their particular roads.
The government has made it clear it wants results for its money. Repairs are to be completed before the summer holidays, with councils required to publish their work online. Counties like Surrey are expected to benefit from a portion of the pot set aside for severely damaged regions. The money here urgently needed, as councillors have already spent half their annual road repair budget since Christmas. Joe Tidy, Sky News.